This week in news surrounding Israel, behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. That's the headline. Stay tuned for all the details. Well, shalom, everyone. Welcome once again to this week's newscast. I'm Robert Gottselig, your host. And this past weekend, I'm sure you're all well aware that Iran launched hundreds of drones, cruise, and ballistic missiles towards Israel from Iran. And in a joint effort, the Israeli Air Force and its allies, including the U.S., the U.K., France, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, downed the majority of the drones and cruise missiles outside of Israel. And of the ballistic missiles, while Israel shot down the majority of those with their Arrow 2 and 3 systems. Friends, as Brother Amir Sarfate pointed out on his Telegram channel, and by the way, if you're not subscribed to that Telegram channel, I highly recommend joining up, because Amir does such a great job of keeping us informed on a daily basis of what's happening in Israel. And he pointed out that no country ever intercepted 100 ballistic missiles in space within an hour. And yet ultimately we know that God protected Israel and his chosen people from colossal damage that could have happened. Our headline is from Psalm 121 verse 4, where God says, "Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep." And I agree with Brother Amir when he said that prayer was the most successful air defense system. We know, friends, that when God's people pray, and especially when they have been and still are interceding for Israel and the Jewish people, that God hears prayers. Yet I wonder to myself, how many churches were praying for Israel, and did any pastors give an update from their pulpits this past Sunday to their congregation, informing of them of the situation and then interceding and praying for Israel? I wonder to myself, how many have been doing that since October 7th? Friends, Israel is in some very troubling times, and they need our love and support. And as Christians, we should be giving them that. Perhaps if your church is silent on the matter, maybe you need to find out what your church's biblical position is on Israel. Maybe it's not what you think. Because if Christians aren't standing with Israel and praying for Israel and supporting and loving on the Jewish people, who is? Oh, sure, the world is sympathetic when it comes to Israel being attacked. But as soon as Israel goes on the defensive to defend itself, well, a lot of the world became silent and even spoke out against them, villainizing Israel, making them out to be the villain, instead of what Hamas did or instead of what Iran has done. We've seen that in many of the wars that Israel has fought, whereas the moment that Israel went on the defensive to defend itself, the world pressured Israel to cease. And of course, the most recent example of that is the ongoing war that we are seeing in Gaza. And now the same is happening once again with Iran, as they launched an attack on the Jewish state. And of course, the Biden administration, though they were supportive in helping down these suicide drones and these cruise missiles, the Biden administration urged Israel not to retaliate. Don't do that, Israel. We don't want you to escalate things any further. You know, it wasn't all that bad. Only one 10-year-old girl was severely injured. It wasn't that bad. Even Emmanuel Macron, France's leader, saying much of the same thing. And then leaders around the world are saying a lot of the same thing. Yet Iran has repeatedly called for Israel to be wiped off the face of the map. And they're racing towards a nuke in order to do that. And they are the number one state sponsor of terrorism, especially around Israel. Iran has its proxies in Syria, in Iraq. They have it in Lebanon with Hezbollah, and of course in the Gaza Strip with Hamas. They have the Houthis in Yemen, which the Houthis were launching as well, while Iran was launching these attack drones. Friends, Iran is clear that their intentions is not to build peace with the Jewish state, but to annihilate it. And they're working, as I mentioned, hard and racing towards a nuke in order to do that. And to make matters worse, of course, since October 7th, we've seen all these pro-Palestinian rallies on our streets around the world calling for the further elimination of Israel, as they are true to their mantra when they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That's exactly what they mean. No Israel. And here, of course, what happened on the weekend with Iran? Once again, we saw pro-Palestinian supporters, and they were cheering Iran on for what they did. Such was the case in Chicago with these activists. Have a look.
I just have to report something to everyone, and so it begins, so to speak. 12 days ago, Israel brazenly hit an Iranian embassy compound in Syria, violating international law again. And Iran has just responded about 30 minutes ago. They've sent, and this is from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard directly, they've sent drones and missiles against specific targets in occupied Palestine, Israeli targets in occupied Palestine. And they believe that they will be in Palestinian, I don't call it Israeli airspace, Palestinian airspace between 2 and 4 a.m., which means in about between 2 and 4 hours from now. It's 12 midnight in Palestine right now. In addition, there are reports of drones having been fired on Israel from Yemen and Iraq as well.
It's disgusting. Disgusting to say the least. And some are even saying that, hey, well, Israel had it coming because after all, they attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus, resulting in the killing of Iranian commanders. Friends, that was a headquarters for terrorists, and one of them was a senior military commander, Mohammed Zaidi, who was involved in the planning and execution of the October 7th massacre. Israel had every right to take out this demonic monster. And so woe unto those who call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. That's what Isaiah wrote in chapter 5, verse 20. And so my question, very simply, if you're watching this, is what side do you want to find yourself on? I trust you want to find yourself on the side of good. I trust you want to find yourself on the side of the God of Israel. And so, therefore, let us continue to lift Israel up in prayer and stand and support the Jewish people, because at the time of this recording, Israel has not yet retaliated on Iran, though the world is pressuring them not to. And a major ground invasion into Rafah to finish off Hamas has not yet begun either. But I can assure you that when these do begin to take place, the world will once again be all too happy to either remain silent or to villainize Israel and make them look like the bad guy. We need to stand with Israel. And therefore, as Christians, friends, we need to be loving on them. We need to be supporting Israel. We need to be educating our congregation's pastor what to think, what God's prophetic plan is for Israel. After all, he tells us to comfort Israel in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 1. Comfort my people. They've received double for all their sins. Are we going to stand with Israel as believers? Because if we won't, the world sure isn't. And for all those that won't, all those Christian leaders who have zero compassion for Israel, and all non-Christian leaders and non-Christian people, the world who has zero compassion for Israel, and for those who could care less and are more happy to side with the Palestinians, God will continue to protect his chosen people, regardless of what you think, say, or do. But here are some words worth meditating on. Psalm 129, verse 5. God says, let all those who hate Zion be put to shame and turn back. And with that, and until next time, thanks for joining us on another episode of In News Surrounding Israel. God bless.